Good morning. It's Tuesday morning about 9:15, and I just got back from dropping the kids off at school and going to the grocery store. Um, I got home, put the groceries away, went right up to the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom, so I'm in there, sitting on the toilet, and I hear somebody coming in the front door. This is not unusual. We're in the third year of our renovation. We're used to people just coming in and out. But this person was having a lot of trouble getting in, and after about a minute, I started to get a little worried because everybody who comes in and out, they know how to get in and out. They don't have trouble with the door. They know the alarm code. The contractors have their own code that only works at certain times, and we've just gotten used to the routine. But this person couldn't get the door open. And then finally, when they did get the door open, they didn't even try to turn off the alarm, and I started getting worried. So by that time, I was standing in the hallway upstairs, like 2 floors above where this is going on. But I can look all the way down the stairwell into the floor where he was coming in. I didn't want to turn off the alarm. I was worried that somebody had just broken in. I was worried that they didn't even use a key, that they busted the door in, that was all the noise I was hearing, and that they were downstairs somewhere. So I let the alarm ring for a while. I could still hear it in my ears. It's really, really loud. But I was afraid that if I turned the alarm off, then A, somebody would know that I was home, and B, the police wouldn't come. So I crept down the stairs a little bit so that I could see the door. And just as it got into my view, I could see it closing and somebody leaving. So at that point, I turned off the alarm and I went downstairs and I looked out, and it was obviously a worker. It was obviously somebody who was supposed to be downstairs. So I opened the door and I let him in, and he explained that he was new and nobody had given him the code. He had the keys, he had his tools, he was obviously supposed to be there. But somebody in the office had given him the right keys, forgotten to tell him that there was an alarm, so he hadn't even known how to try to turn it off. But yeah, just excitement I didn't need this morning. Anyway, I was just reading a crazy story online. This guy in New Jersey, a few years ago, he was in medical school in New Jersey, and they were having a discussion in class. The article didn't say what the discussion was about, but he identified himself as a white African American. He's white. He was born in Africa, I think it said in Mozambique, and then he moved to America and became an American. So he is a white African American. Apparently a lot of people in class and a lot of people in the school had a problem with him identifying himself that way, and said that he shouldn't call himself an African American, no matter how he qualifies it by saying that he's white. And apparently he was harassed and eventually suspended from the school, and now he's suing. So, this just brings up all sorts of problems with labels. And it's tough. I mean, when I was younger, we called people who were darker black people. Now it's African American, which makes no sense to me. I know a lot of Caribbean people who bristle at that. Asians went from being Oriental to Asians, even though some people in my family still call them Oriental. They don't mean anything by it. They just haven't kept up with the times. They don't know that they're apparently being offensive. I don't know who's offended by this. I don't know who decided. I don't know where the meeting was where everybody decided that the name was going to change, but it did, and my family didn't catch up. If somebody asks me what I am, I'm white. I don't call myself an Italian Irish American. I refer to myself as Irish and American if it suits whatever story I'm telling. If I'm talking about how hairy I am, I usually refer to the Italian part. If I'm talking about how pale I am, I refer to the Irish part. And, I guess white is a good shorthand. I refer to myself as a white girl if I'm talking about rap music or dancing or anything where I'm trying to quickly imply that I have absolutely no rhythm, no funk, no soul. I say white girl. Everybody knows what I mean. If anybody wants to extrapolate that out into me saying that some other group implicitly has something that I don't because I'm calling myself white, whatever. It's not meant to be taken seriously. And, that's the problem. When we take all of these labels seriously, somehow black people, African Americans, whatever they want to be called, decided that they were going to be called African Americans. It became the thing. And so someone legitimately labels himself an African American because he was born in Africa and moved to America, and he gets shit for it. Insane. You know, who is somebody else to tell him that he can't call himself what he thinks he is? My friend Amy Beth, she did a one-woman show the other night. I went to see it. It was very good. And she talks about how when she was in school, she wanted to be black. You know, she was into the music, she was into the fashion, she was into what she felt it stood for. She wasn't, as she said, a wigger, a word that I didn't actually hear until I was an adult, but apparently people used to call her a wigger in school. We were in an inner city school. White people were the minority, and she apparently got a lot of crap for it. I didn't even realize this was going on back then. But that's the problem. I mean, when there are white people who like rap music, they're identified as one thing. When there are black people who, and I'm not going to do the air quotes here, but you can hear the air quotes. When black people talk white, they get labeled as something. We're all kind of blended at this point. I mean, it's the time for labels is over. I think the more we segment ourselves, the more problems there are. I get crap because I moved into a neighborhood that was predominantly black and predominantly poor, and then I and many other white families come in and buy up houses, and I guess we kicked everybody out. So we get crap for that, but the black people in the neighborhood who have more money than we do, who came in and did the same exact thing, get no crap because, well, they're black. They're not identified with the same movement, the Hunquistador movement, I've heard it called. I remember this guy in the playground. I guess he asked a friend of mine, a white friend of mine, for money in the playground, and this guy was like, "Why don't you talk to that black guy over there who has a house in the Hamptons?" You can't. The time. If there ever was a time to identify people by race, I don't think there really was, but it's definitely over now. It's definitely over. So, identifying people by their color, assuming something, it's done. Let this kid call himself a white African American. Who cares? That's what he is. Alright, time for some breakfast. I think my blood sugar is getting a little low if I'm letting this piss me off this much, but it's just stupid. They're to misquote or paraphrase West Wing. You fight the real battles. You don't have time for the cosmetic ones. There's real shit going on. To waste time on what somebody's calling themselves, who cares? Have a great day.